This is question 17 from the 2011 IMAT paper. So in this question we have a courier who starts in London and makes 2 round trips to Prague. So they go to Prague and come back, and they do that twice. It says they always take the next available flight. And one thing that's just in brackets but might turn out to be important later is that all the times are in the local times. So London time or Prague time. Then we've got the table here of all the departure and arrival times. So this would be departing from London and arriving in Prague, those flights. This side would be departing from Prague, arriving in London. And we're asked, how long is their day, i.e. how long is it from their first takeoff to their last landing? So if you haven't had a chance to have a go at this yourself, please pause the video now. Have a go. Otherwise, let's take a look at it. So this is one where they're being a little bit sneaky because they do need you to take into account this information that these are local times, and you either have to kind of deduce from the table what the difference between the time zones is, or you have to base it on your general knowledge. So basically, like Prague is in Central Europe, it's probably going to be 1 hour ahead of London. And we won't actually see that because one other thing you kind of have to assume is, well, did I take the first flight from London? It only says they take the next available flight. We'll assume for now they do, and then we'll see later that that's a good assumption. So let's suppose they just take the first available flight from London at the beginning of the day, and then go to Prague. So that's going to take 3 hours because it leaves at 6:30. Well, it seems to take 3 hours because it leaves at 6:30, arrives at 9:30. And then they're going to take some flight back, which is going to be leaving at 10:10, so 10 past 10, so they'll be able to make that because they arrived at 9:30, so that's before that, so they'll be able to take this flight. That would arrive in London at 20 past 11, so that's just over an hour. So we see there that the flight back seems to be significantly shorter than the flight over, so London to Prague seems to take almost 2 hours longer than Prague to London, which is a bit surprising. So that's where we might think, okay, the time zone's coming into account, and it's probably a 1 hour difference, because if we account for a 1 hour difference, then this would be, if Prague's an hour ahead, this would actually be a 2 hour flight. And then when we go from Prague to London, okay, it looks like 1 hour 10, but actually it would be 2 hours 10, and then that's much more reasonable. The flights take roughly the same amount of time. And again, like from general knowledge, you can think, okay, like an hour is a reasonable amount of time difference. So, okay, that's how long it's taken us to leave London and then get back to London. So that's 11:20. And then we're going to do one more round trip. So we can't make this flight. We've missed that one because it's 11:20. But we can make this one. So we'll take this flight. That's going to take the same amount of time as before. And then then we arrive at 3:30. This leaves at 4:40, so we can make that one. So we'll take that flight and arrive back at 17:50 or 10 to 6. And firstly, let's just calculate how long that takes. So bear in mind, we're not just counting the amount of time on the flights, but they've spent some time waiting, right? Because their next flight isn't always straight away. So we'll just find the difference in time between when they started, that's 6:30, and when they finally land, which is 5:50 in the afternoon. And then let's see, 6 to 17 is 11, and 30 to 50 is 20, so it's 11 hours and 20 minutes. And that is one of the answers. That's answer D, which is in fact correct. We might just want to check, could it be that we should actually have left at a different time, like maybe leaving later takes less time overall, and then maybe they're expecting us to make some assumption that they try to minimise the time. But actually, if you try and leave later, it takes longer, if you want to check that. And it does make sense if they're taking the next available flight, that should include the first one. So actually, it is safe to assume they start at 6:30 as we did. And that does give us the correct answer, D.